Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the fifth episode of Tea with Tea. I'm your host, as always, Therese, and today we are joined by my husband, Eric.
Hey guys, and thanks again, Therese, for having me back on.
Um, of course, because today we're doing kind of like a mom and dad interview day. This episode, I'm going to interview Eric, and the next episode, he's going to interview me. So I figured let's just jump right in. What is a new dad mistake you've made?
Well, and this is like full disclosure. When Charlie was, I would say maybe 12 to 13 months, he was having some hard time sleeping, and you were working at night, and I was putting him to bed and kind of in charge for his evening routine. And which was great because you had them all throughout the day and in the mornings. But I got very frustrated. I got angry. I lost all patience, and immediately after I lost all patience, I did a complete 180 and was almost like shocked and embarrassed by my own actions, as if somebody else had judged me while watching me. But I was judging myself because I lost my patience, which that's one thing that I try and pride myself on, being very patient and resilient in certain situations that some may fold in, and I lost it, and it was just a complete like a culmination of being frustrated because I couldn't soothe him. I didn't know what he wanted, and I of course I didn't harm Charlie at all, but it was just the feelings that I had of a loss of control. That was my new parent mistake, because I hadn't really understood at that point how much patience it really took to be a parent. And in that moment, I realized that there is no like marginal room for error. You cannot lose your cool. You're a parent. It's your job to be a solid foundation. So that was a big learning curve for me, or a learning point for me, because it showed me, hey, I don't want to be that parent that gets upset and loses it, as far as in that moment. And since then, I really feel like I've even used that as a baseline, to stay calm and cool and level-headed. Now we all vary.
Yeah, we're humans.
Yeah. Exactly, it fluctuates, but it was an important thing for me to learn early on, was to just have patience and understand that whatever is going on will end, will pass.
Absolutely. So how do you feel, I know that you're saying patience is super important to you. So how do you feel that you've changed, like style of parenting wise, from Charlie to now Xander?
With Zan, man, it's different because he's still way too young. He's completely dependent on you. You breastfeed, so I mean, you are his everything. Right now, I'm still super secondary. I'm just here to make him laugh, and I try to do that as often as I can. But I think ask me that in maybe 6 months, and I may have a more in-depth answer. But right now, I think it's too early. But I know that I love seeing Charlie's interactions with Alex. So I try and really push for interaction between the two, even though Alex can't really give much feedback right now. But it's awesome.
Oh yeah, and Charlie loves interacting with the baby.
Big time. He loves it. And it's, to me, mind-blowing because he doesn't even know why he loves him. Truly. I mean, that's his brother. He never said a word to him, never shared an experience with him.
Yeah, he's never given Charlie anything.
He just knows that's his brother. Mommy and Daddy love him.
So
I love him.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So what's something that's very important to you that you kind of impart on the boys? Like,
well, once again, this is kind of only for Charlie, because Alex is.
Well, you can kind of think into the future for them both.
Sure.
If you want to just focus on Charlie, absolutely.
Well, to really narrow it down to one, it's a little difficult. Um,
Maybe to make it simpler, or do you have something?
well, quality time, family time. I mean, to me, that's something that's super important. Is to slow down, take the time, create the memories. Like that's really experiences is something that I want Charlie to hold of high value. I want him to want to seek out new experiences, to be curious, to be inquisitive, to be experimental. Those are things that I really want to instill in them because that almost like you could say like compounding interest, it builds on top of another, on top of another, on top of another.
Mm-hmm.
That type of action builds new experiences on new experiences on new experiences. So if you're curious, inquisitive, experimental, then you will constantly learn new things.
So, what's something that you have on your dad bucket list?
Experiences I want to have with Charlie
Yes.
and Alexander.
Yes.
I want to take him out on a boat. I want to teach him how to water ski. I want them to enjoy water sports. I think that's really cool. That's a fond memory I have of my childhood, and I just always thought it was awesome. Our first roller coaster, big roller coaster. I want that.
Because the Disney ones are fun, but they're not a
Right.
big roller coaster. So I appreciate them.
I know this may sound silly and it may not be a bucket list type of deal, but I really want to experience different museums with Charlie because he loves museums. He loves tactile things, and and museums are one thing. Just to travel to different museums and have him witness and experience history with me.
And science stuff too.
Yeah, definitely science.
That's
Definitely
so funny because I texted you just today about taking him to a museum.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So yeah, adventurous things. Like we have yet to go camping, we have yet to go fishing. So I want to start to experience those things now that he's a little bit more aware of his surroundings and experiences.
And he can really interact more. He can give you more.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So far, what's your favorite part of being a dad?
Moments like tonight, where I have Alex on one leg, Charlie on the other leg, reading to them. And like I said, soaking up those moments, just enjoying those experiences. I love that so much. It fills my heart so full because I feel like that's what being a dad, being a child, that's what it's all about. Running up, sitting in your dad's lap, hugging him, reading stories. So, yeah.
Awesome. What's on the other side of that? What's the surprisingly hard part of being a parent?
Discipline, major. It's difficult. And I'm still at a very early phase in discipline, but right now is the super formative years where it's like, okay, is your kid going to grow up to be a badass, or is your kid going to grow up to know how to listen to their peers and their elders, take direction, learn, be open to change, things like that. And now is a very important time. And I think someone even complimented us on like Charlie's fluidity in situations because he was able to take change, take direction really quickly without getting really frustrated. Because I think we've kind of coaxed him into that mindset of, change is okay. New things are okay. But if you do the hard things early and you set a good framework, then I think that it makes it a bit easier. Now, other parents may tell you otherwise based off their experiences, but everything's different. So,
right, and that's absolutely the truth. Everyone's experience is so different. So, for your experience, what's kind of a fear of yours as a parent?
Wow. I mean, being a parent, as scary as it is.
Right. My follow-up question was going to be, can you mitigate that fear?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't call it fear,
Mm-hmm.
more as applied pressure, because nothing really scares me with Charlie. I mean, of course, the obvious things that would scare a parent, losing your child dying, getting very, very ill, things like that. I mean, those are obviously very scary things to think about, especially when you've now invested 5 years of time and love and affection into this human. You know, I mean, you're like, you kind of like him, you kind of want him to stick around, right?
You're invested.
Yeah. But just, I constantly have a small amount of pressure applied to my interactions with Charlie, because I really do try and make each interaction count. So, I don't think I wouldn't have to say any fears.
Cool. Is there anything you'd like to redo?
Like a particular situation?
A situation, or if there was something like a principle or something you'd like to add?
Well, I think that you and I have been very, very proactive in being parents for Charlie. I mean, we've been picking up on certain things with him, as far as him going to a gastroenterologist, even at the age of 2 or 3, because we were realizing that something wasn't correct in his digestive system.
Right.
And so, any redos, any regrets? I have none. Particular situations, could I have reacted differently? Yeah. But I'm proud of where we've come. I'm proud of what we've done. And I think that over the years, will I have room for maybe can I have a redo? Probably. Give me one. I'll keep it in my back pocket.
Right.
But I'm proud of us.
I am too. Who is parenting goals for you?
Wow. Parenting goals. Parenting goals. Honestly, when I think about parenting goals, I think about my friends Bobby, Donna, JR, Terry, Tony and his brothers, Valentine and his brothers. Like the way that a Nigerian household runs, and the values that all my friends' parents that I've known over the years, the values that they hold are just so impressive to me. I mean, the work ethic is, I envy it. The perspective of coming from a country that has had its political issues, its health issues, but then also its huge successes. But coming from villages to America, raising men, strong, independent, smart men, my friends. I have always respected all of their parents, and hope that we can have contributing members of society, smart, intellectual, fun children, and provide that financial savviness, work ethic, strive for knowledge and growth of one's own self. All of that has been instilled by their parents. And over the years, I have just immensely respected that. So those are my parenting goals. To to be on that level.
That is pretty. God, what's the word I'm looking for? That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Lofty. These are lofty goals.
Yes.
Okay. So in the face of those kind of lofty goals, what's something that you appreciate in yourself and in me? Like I guess we can frame it like, in regards to your goals, what's something that you appreciate about us, like that you feel that we're on a good path there?
Well, I mean, we're under 30 years old, and you and I communicate very, very effectively. I mean, we have our downs, but when we see our downs, we dive into them, we analyze them, and we try and turn them right side up. But I'm proud of the way that you and I persist. We try and balance our own individual drives and the desire to raise two good boys and fulfill our own journeys. We don't stop. We always think. We always talk about it. We always plan and work towards things.
One thing I read the other day was that when you're faced with problems, you have to remember that it's the two of us against the problem, not the two of us against each other.
There you go.
And I think that's something that we've really learned and worked on over the years. And I think that's part of what makes us so effective as a team.
I agree.
What are 3 things you think every parent should have?
3 things that every parent should have. 1 big toy box. Got to keep them busy. A bookshelf. You got to keep them reading. You've got to read to them. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And a really good first aid kit. I mean, a good first aid kit.
I feel like we've had several over the years.
Absolutely. I mean, because those are essentials. Those are necessities. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can live without in life, but those 3 things you can't take away. You need them.
To piggyback on that, what are kind of 3 intangible things you think parents need?
Patience, ingenuity. You got to be able to move on the fly. You can't be, walking through life dragging your feet in the ground. You've got to be flexible. And lighthearted, really. You have to be lighthearted. You can't take things to the core. You can't take things personal. You just gotta roll with the punches and enjoy every day that you got.
I like that. Do you ever feel like you fall short?
Yes, I do fall short sometimes, and it can be with cell phone usage. I admit that there are times where I'm on my phone, and in this day and age of technology, it's very easy to get trapped or get sucked into it. I mean, this screen, it's super easy to. But as a parent, you have to walk by example. You have to lead them, and if you want them to get on their electronics, then put it out there for them. But if not, then create a schedule like we do, and no TV during the week. Friday nights you can watch some, but the weekends sometimes, but through the week absolutely not. So if you do see that happening, then it's as simple as creating directives, with your children. If you want to steer their behavior into a certain direction, then you you say, and you give a reward system, and reward repetition, and eventually you can get to where you are on a schedule. And I love that.
I like that too. This is something, especially with kind of the media around school shootings, but would you consider homeschooling?
Yeah.
Or do you think...
Yeah, I'll say it right there. I mean, yes, I would consider homeschooling. Homeschooling is pretty insane. I mean, if you actually create a regimen and a structure for learning, you can graduate your children by the age of 16, get them in college early, get them graduated by 18, 19 years old, get them experiencing things quickly and effectively, especially with new types of teaching standards. I'm not going to say any names, but new types of teaching standards that are out there have really changed the way arithmetic and science is taught. So yeah, I would definitely entertain that seriously.
Okay. What's your stance on getting mental health help? Is that therapy and counseling? Is that prescriptions to help people with their issues?
I mean, if it's a physiological problem and medication is required for the regulation of the body, whatever it may be a deficiency of. But yeah, I think counseling is super important. And I still think there is a bit of, what's the word? A negative connotation associated with receiving mental health help. I mean, even if you have to list that you've received mental health help when trying to enlist in the military, into any government job, really. I mean, that's looked at, and I would have to say scrutinized. Obviously, it can't be judged against, with the EEOC and everything, but I think it needs to be very accessible. It needs to be the norm, just like going to the doctor to get checked up. Right. And I think a lot of it also starts at home. The relationships that you have with your parents, I think that also contributes a big amount to your everyday social and mental health.
Absolutely.
I think healthy relationships at home are important and the building blocks of that personality. So there's multiple facets of that conversation that can be,
And like you were saying earlier, children look to their parents for example, and if the person you're looking to is not, taking care of their own mental health or aren't taking care of themselves, then, you're not learning to take care of yourself, and that kind of person may not be taking care of you. Some people, you can't pour from an empty cup. So some people spend so much of their energy taking care of other people that they don't know how to take care of themselves.
Right.
And if your parent is like that, then you don't learn how to take care of yourself. So that could be another facet of your relationships around you.
Absolutely.
If you could talk to the Eric who is seeing the first ultrasound of Charlie, if you could say something to that Eric right now, what would you say?
You're going to do great, man. Yeah. I just remember not being able to go in at first, and that was crazy.
Well, yeah, because they have to do the I guess we could call them welfare check.
Yeah.
To make sure that I'm not...
He's not beating you, right?
He's not
is he forcing you
against your will.
Did he rape you? Yeah.
Yeah, or even forcing me to keep
Which
it.
I'm totally about. Because although it doesn't apply to us, I mean, it could apply somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
And if that will help that woman,
get out of that
situation, then by all means, please go ahead and pull her in, ask her the question.
And even if you're not willing to leave the situation, like some victims are not ready to leave the situation for whatever reason, they can still try to mitigate it. Like, okay, so do you want us to tell him information or do you want us to only speak to you? And they can try and tailor it to help you as much as you will let them help you.
Yeah.
But also, not every place does that, which is also strange. But because I think that should be the standard. What are you really, really into this week? Okay.
Well, last week I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had on it's the Joe Rogan Experience. He had on Jordan Peterson. I believe he's from Toronto, definitely Canada. He's a clinical psychologist. He was on his podcast. He was talking about some of the things that he believes in. And he was also talking about his book, and it's called 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos. So I've been reading that. I'm about halfway through. I'm interested to finish it up. I definitely recommend it. Definitely a good read. Makes a lot of sense. So yeah, check that out.
And I will put links to all of that in the show notes. So that's all the questions I have. Do you have anything that you want to talk about being a dad?
Is this my little plug?
This is your plug at the end.
Well, it really is amazing. No matter what I do in life, the most important thing that I do is raise those boys. That's my legacy. I mean, and no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, it is going to be all right. Everything's a phase. Just give them love. That's it. Because you can overcomplicate it all, but no matter what's going to happen is going to happen. You get them into that school, you get them into that college. You can do so much, but all you got to do is make sure that you give them love and you give them that foundation. I'm all about it.
Thank you, Eric, for joining us for this episode. And everyone, your assignment is to keep listening and subscribe to our podcast. And the next episode will actually have Eric interviewing me for a nice little change of pace. And we'll see you guys shortly.
Is that I feel like this mental health help.
I know, it's tricky.
Isn't it? Can we just say MHH? Or is that
MH squared?
I don't know.
What would that be chemically? I just want to make sure I'm not saying methane or something.